the test, no access. Cause you oppressed slaves. Niggas is dying off in ways. Living in dirt and I was so brave. Niggas crossed off through the crosswalk or the white chalk for the bodies of rose that you paid. Americans killing us, saying they fear us with the drugs in the hood. Now my niggas delirious with a gun in my face. Or because of my race, big full blast. Just to to murder my ass. Like a chief in the slaughter, I'm beating harder and harder. Baptized with these words. Never giving me water, so now we praising the Father. Dear shut of the Father is looking for the marauders. Looking taking my daughters, nigga, it's war time. Lights up, nigga, showtime. Got the green light on that ass, yeah, no time. You can boot up, shut up, we get your ass up. Cause we ain't got time to be playing. It's all fucked up America. Heaven for the deep, hell for the slavery. But what you sold, meaning giving back what you gave. Who are clean slave, try to imitate. You was all fake America. Every city state, this is your fate. Whoa, 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 to America. 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 On the timeline, giving the road to expose the picture. These five, you pop the right shit. Getting your head passed out, so in the middle, that's out. I hope you get it, didn't you crash mine? Kinda simple with the feeling, cause your last line. Feel real confused with bad mind. The damn train, it's the exact thing that your ass fried. Bombs from the sky, rich double lullaby. Then a nigga fly, but we got all alibi. Bombs from the sky, rich double lullaby. Devil missiles high. See him from the parking lot, nigga finna fall out. Devil's finna fall out. All our warfare, nightmares in the big house. The murder was for years. Thinking shit won't turn around. I never learned this motherfucker burns down. Yeah, in the streets. Told him to preach. All of you angels bring hope to this beast. You root for time, but we play for keeps. I pray to my Father, bring hope to this beast. Remember the times we hung on the trees. All of you nations brought down to your knees. Remember the shit they brought us from fleets. Fuck the Apollo, bring them the heat. Whoa, 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 to America. Whoa, whoa, to America. Whoa, 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 to America. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
God is going to destroy his empire. You about to see famine in this place. You think them fires in California is bad? That's just the beginning of what the Lord is about to do.
Yeah, Shalom Israel. We are the I.S.U.P.K out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commander GEN.YAHANNA. We've been teaching the truth about the Bible since 1969, that blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians are the lost 12 tribes of the nation of Israel. All right. Before we go into class tonight, all right, we're going to run back through the schedule of the classes during the week, right, locally here in Trinidad. All right. Some of you may be familiar with it, all right, but nevertheless, we will go through it. So those who don't know will know the times of the classes, right? On Monday, right, is the history class, right? This history class is done by Priest and Officer Makar Kobal, right? On Tuesday, which is tonight, is the Brotherhood class. This class is usually done by Priest and Officer Sowap Yala, all right? I am holding on the class on behalf of him, right? I am Priest and Officer Maikwa, all right? On Wednesday is the law class, right? That class is done by Priest and Officer Matt Kwayak. On a Thursday, we do not have any classes locally, right? But we stream the class out of 125th Street, Harlem, New York, right? With 12 Shield General Mahaiman, right? And that class is an interactive class, so you can ask, excuse me, any questions that you have about the scriptures, right? On a Friday, we have the Lashawan Kwadash, right? Which is the Holy Tongue or the Hebrew tongue. All right, this class is done by Priest and Officer Yakad, and in this class you will learn to read, write, and speak Hebrew. Right, this is on a Friday. On a Saturday is our Sabbath service, right? Which is also done by Priest and Officer Yakad and Priest and Officer Swapiala. Right, from time to time you may be seeing other brothers heading up this class, right? Which is the Sabbath class on a Saturday, right? On a Sunday is our local scripture breakdown class here in Trinidad, right? This is done by Priest and Officer Galawan. Priest and Officer Galawan is the head of the Trinidad and Tobago camp locally. Excuse me, and he does the local scripture breakdown here in Trinidad, right? That class also is an interactive class, right? So you can tune in and ask your questions, on whatever topic that you would like to ask about the Bible, right? All the classes run from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m., right? From Monday straight through to Sunday, with the exception of Saturday, which is the Sabbath service, right? That service runs from 10 a.m. in the morning till 12 p.m., right? 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. till noon, lunchtime, right? So those are the classes that are done during the week, right? We have classes right through the week, right? So you can tune in and get up to speed with the I.S.U.P.K and get more understanding about the scriptures, right? So tonight is the brotherhood class, and we're going to get straight into it, right? We're going to understand a little more about brotherhood and a little more about living under the authority of the Most High, right? And the benefits, some of the benefits that it has living under the authority of the Most High, right? So the first scripture I want to hold for me, you can hold Matthew chapter 22 and verse 35. Right, whenever you have it, you can go ahead.
Matthew chapter 22 and verse 35. Then one of them, which was a lawyer, asked him a question.
Salakia, let's jump up one verse.
Matthew chapter 22 and verse 34. But when the Pharisees had heard that he had put the Sadducees to silence.
Right, so this was Christ, right? And it had two sects, right? Our religious leaders, right? One was the Sadducees and one was the Pharisees, right? Right. So the Pharisees over here that he put the Sadducees to silence, right? Continue.
They were gathered together,
right? So they gather themselves together, right? So it's like modern day today, right? They are the Christians and the Muslims, and the Christians here that Christ put the Muslim to silence, right? That they couldn't answer none of the questions, so he put the Muslim to shame, right? So the Christians now decide them going and test Christ now to see, and understand we have, and that's where I come from, because they feel that they could come up with some strange questions that he wouldn't be able to answer, right? Go ahead.
Verse 35. Then one of them, which was a lawyer.
Right, so one of them was a lawyer, right? Meaning he knew the law, right? The comb through all the book, and understand that all the precepts down pack, right? And that could quote off the tip of the tongue. You understand? They don't have to open the book to one look. And understand? So he feels sharp, right? So he say one of them who was a lawyer. Go ahead.
Ask him a question.
Right, so he asking Christ a question now. Go ahead.
Tempting him.
Right, and the spirit he coming with, it's to tempt him, and understand it's to trick him into a trick question, right? Go ahead.
And saying, verse 36, Master, which is a great commandment in the law?
Right, so you ask him which is the great commandment in the law, which is the main commandment in the law, right? Which is the biggest of them all, right? Go ahead.
Verse 37, then Yahweh said unto him, Thou shalt love the Lord with thy power, with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy mind.
Right, go ahead.
Verse 38. This is the first and great commandment.
Right, so you tell him the first and great commandment, right, is loving the Lord thy God with all your heart, your soul, and your mind. Right, continue.
Verse 39. And the second is like unto it.
Right, but he come and say no. But the second one I'm going to tell you now is like unto it or equal unto it, right? Go ahead.
Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself.
Right? So he's trying to show him now that loving your neighbor as yourself, right? I want to say love your neighbor. So like here, it don't mean somebody or anybody in the world or anybody of the other nations, right? It means your neighbor is your brother, right? So it's loving your brother as yourself. So the same things that you will want for yourself, you will want for your brother, right? And this two law intertwine with each other, equal to one another, right? They do have one without the other. Go ahead.
Verse 40. On these two commandments hang all the laws and the prophets.
These two what?
On these two commandments hang all the laws and the prophets.
Right? And they say on these two laws hang all so like on these two commandments hang all the laws and the prophets. So all the laws and the things the prophet wrote before, right? All hang on these, meaning that all of them go intertwined, go one with the other, right? Nothing contradicting one another, right? So the Pharisees now trying to trick him, right? To get him to say something against the law, right? But Christ was much more wiser than that, right? And when you look at it, when you say the greatest commandment is loving the Lord thy God, right? With all your mind, your heart, soul, and mind, and loving the neighbor as yourself. He was trying to explain something to them. But the Pharisees did not understand, right? So you're going to get some understanding on it, right? Go down to 1 John chapter 4, verse 19, Babakasha. You understand? So the Pharisees didn't understand, right? That he was trying to bring them up to speed with a different level of understanding, right? Because they only understood things by the book. You understand? They just go into the letter of the law, right? And they had no brotherhood in them, that had no charity in them, right?
1 John chapter.
1 John chapter 4 and verse 19, Babakasha.
First John chapter 4 and verse 19. We love him because he first loved us.
Right? So it's say we love the Most High because why? The Most High, before we love the Most High, he first loved us. The Most High is who choose us, right? The Most High made a covenant with our forefathers, right? So he chose us. We didn't choose the Most High, right? Go ahead.
Verse 20. If a man say, I love the Most High.
Right? So it's saying now, this is what you're trying to explain to them. This is why they need to love the brother as themselves, right? You see, if a man say that he loved the Most High, go ahead.
And hate his brother.
Right? And he hate his brother, go ahead.
He is a liar.
Right? So this not me saying that, this is the scripture saying that. He say, if a man say that he love God and he hate his brother, he's a liar. Right? And when you look at the churches today, and you look at the Christian pastor, right, molesting children in the churches, right, encouraging homosexuality, them don't love their brother. Them hate their brother. You understand? And that's how you know them don't love God. You understand? Because if they love God, they'll come out and speak against homosexuality in the churches. Now, in the churches, they're saying, even they're saying in the churches, we don't encourage homosexuality. But yet still, in the congregation, you have homosexuals. You understand? Playing outright. You understand? I listened to a news report earlier, right? And the senator, a senator in Trinidad and Tobago called he's an independent senator called Paul Richards, right? He's a popular radio host, right? And Paul Richards is known to be openly gay. He admits that on TV, right? So he openly admits that he's gay, right? And he now in the parliament trying to come against people who smoking cigarettes, right? And say now, right, that the cigarette companies, right, is monsters to society, right? And yes, smoking is wrong, but picture this: a gay man, understand, coming up against a cigarette company, right, talking about the cigarette factories monsters to society. So right there, and that's what Christianity they do. It does contradict itself. And that's where I'm coming from, right? Because he not seeing his sin, but he's seeing all the other people's sin. And that's where I'm coming from. All the others are wrong him, right? And that's the confusion. So that is exactly what the Christian church is. They're telling you they're against homosexuality, but really and truly they're encouraging it. And understand? Because they're not looking to push it out. They're not showing the members of the congregation better. And understand? They're telling them secretly, well they accept that God said to love everybody. You understand where I'm from? By saying that, you're encouraging all homosexuals to come and all murderers and liars and adulterers and all these different people to come into the congregation, and you're not doing anything about it, right? Continue.
For he that loveth not his brother,
Right? So it's saying now, he that loveth not his brother, go ahead.
whom he had seen.
Right? So he that loveth not his brother, so your brother who you could see, that ID man right next to you. And I said, their partner we again, high five. And I said, both of them was close partner. And I said, give another bounce and going party together. And now something happened and cause a little fallout, or they hate one another. And I said, come from, you hate he got secretly in your mind, you're wishing that he dead. And I said, come from, right? So that same man that I hate who you could see, go ahead.
How can he love the Most High?
How can he love the Most High? Go ahead.
Whom he had not seen.
Who he can see. You understand? So if I hear the man right next to you, who you could see, or you could say love the Most High. You understand? And that is how the Bible is proved. All these Christian leaders and pastors as liars. Understand? And by leading these massive membership, right? They're causing all of them to believe this. Because all of them feel in the heart. And here they say, I feel in my heart, they'll beat the chest. Understand? And half of them don't know well, not half, all of them don't know that the heart is the mind. You understand where I'm coming from? Right? But they're saying, they're saying, well, I love God in my heart. Right? But in the same church, the sister right next to them, they hate their guts. And they're wishing that the dead in some fiery flame. And or if they had some power that I just get rid of them right there and then. And the pastor, the same thing. Pastor hates some of his members. And that's where I'm coming from. Right? And having beef in the church. And that's where I'm coming from. All these things they'll be brewing inside these organizations. So that's why in the I.S.U.P.K they say none of these organizations is of the Most High. And that's why we just tell people to come out the Christian church. And come out as the Most High say with Babylon the Great, come out of her sins. Understand? Because that is where all these churches drinking from that wine, from the wine are the white supremacy and the white man, right? Because he's who given all the philosophy and doctrine to these churches through the theology schools. Because that is where all pastors, right, even down here locally in the Caribbean, have to go to the theology school to be in order to be certified as a Christian pastor. Understand? So immediately they're going to the school to be what? Indoctrinated. And then bring that message now to the members. Understand? And that is why they only have one message, which is sow a seed. Understand? And they will be blessed. Understand? And half of the people sowing seed and they can't see nothing yet. Understand? They're buying handkerchief, oil. I see one selling a piece of rope. Understand? He tell them if they buy this length of rope, they're going to be blessed. And all this nonsense and ripping people off. Understand? From the little monies that they have. Understand? And some of them taking the rent money, believing now that they're going to get some big lump sum from the Most High when it doesn't work so. Understand? Right? Right? So that is why Christ put it as equal unto the Most High. You can't love one without the other. Understand? You hate God by hating your brother. Understand? So it's an automatic thing. Understand? So you can't say, I love God and I hate my brother, and you can't say I hate my brother and I love God. The two must go together. Right? They give me Psalm chapter 55 and verse 21, Babukisha. And that's why and when you really think about it and you look around, and understand, right? All them priests, right? That interfere with literature, them don't like their brother. And understand? Because no righteous person will do that to children. And understand where I'm from, or encouraging adultery in the churches. And understand where I'm from, and all these kind of things, and looking to hide it and shifting around the priests. And understand? So the priests interfere with little trend in the south, you move them to the north. You understand where I'm from? And all these things. That could never happen in the nation of Israel. You understand where I'm from? That is an abomination to the Most High, right? You understand? And even say don't write in church because even all the holidays and all. You understand? Imagine when Christmas come around. The Christian church does celebrate Christmas. Them had the biggest Christmas tree in the country. You know, some of them churches, the Christmas tree going up to the sky. You understand? And all type of lights, them encouraging people to celebrate Christmas and eating pork on that day in the church. You understand? So that is real That's mess, right? That's confusion. You understand where I'm from? So the Bible saying one thing and them doing something totally opposite. You understand? It's just chaos. Go ahead, Officer Sharp.
Yes, like I said, they're talking about that day and how to encourage the Christian church, right? So this evening I went and drop a young lady to collect something, right? So the woman does deal with the young lady on a often basis. So the young lady decided to bring something for she. So she bring some coffee for she and thing, right? So when you look up and outside there she house, you're seeing all the Christmas decorations and all of that. They all come out, she mouth now. She say I got 7 days. I don't drink coffee because I put caffeine in it. So like I say, boy, these Christians them again say big Christmas thing and thing. I see nothing in the Bible. Now I come to tell somebody about coffee. Well, there's nothing more coffee in the Bible.
Exactly.
And things. I said, why?
And you're right. And that's a big point to bring out the two because it's showing everything wrong side in the Christian church. Things that good, they say bad, and things that bad, it good for them. You understand where I'm from? So things totally upside down. You understand? So it's a lot of madness going on in the Christian church, right? Give me Psalm chapter 55 and verse 21, Baba Kusha. And the craziness that's going on out there, and if they don't have a righteous authority on the earth, the whole earth would just go astray because nobody would know better. And they don't want nobody to stand up and set the example. And that's what Christ was doing in his time. And he had to come up against his own people to try to show them the right example. Otherwise, if nobody do that, everybody go astray. And that is just like what happening today with the I.S.U.P.K under command in GEN.YAHANNA. No, through the generals standing and staying upright since 1969, now the priests and prophets could go out in the street and set the example and show a better way and show the right way that we're supposed to serve the Most High. And a lot of garbage being eliminated all the way because a lot of people feel like when you listen gospel, you're holy. And that's where I come from because everybody going in that trance with the music. And that's where I come from and all these nonsense. So all that is not holiness to the Most High. The Most High want to see that what you follow his laws, statutes, and commandments. Right? And that is what will shape you into a spirit of brotherhood, right? As we get to go down, we go understand more. Give me Psalm chapter 55 and verse 21, Baba Kusha.
Psalm chapter 55 and verse 21. The word of his mouth was smoother than butter.
And this is a Christian pastor, right? And the reason why your Christian pastor word smoother than butter is because he get trained by the white man. And understand that the white man trait. And understand he trait. And understand is to be smooth, right? Continue.
But war was in his heart.
That's right. And understand he trait is to be smooth, but war was in his heart, and that is the evil in Christian pastor because they're coming up on the pulpit and tell you all the things you want to hear. And that's where I come from, right? How God will bless you and your rainy days, all your days are drought will end. And that's where I come from. And here he telling you what go and build the garage for your new car. And people believe in them kind of thing. You understand? Right? Believing that if the sold the last $100, and understand they're going to get the house of the dreams and all these things. You understand where I'm coming from? All these things the Christian pastor keep pushing. You understand? But in his heart, he don't really care about that. He wanted to put $100 in the collection. You understand? Because he looking to buy a next private jet. You understand? Or buy a new mansion. Understand? Or send his daughter and his children to college. Understand? All these things. And I remember at a time locally down here in Trinidad, but Pastor Coffee Boson, that he daughter never travel a day in her life. Right? And when I say travel, she never take her like a taxi. You understand? Them had a personal chauffeur and driver. And as a pastor, that is what you Boson. And all in the congregation, them had to take taxi to go where they're going because they had no transport. You understand where I'm coming from? Right? And these are the things that the spirit filled up with. You understand? And they just can't help but talk it because they're totally full with that amount of rubbish in them. You understand? And that is how crazy this world gets, right? So just read back for me to Baba Kushan.
Psalm chapter 55 and verse 21. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter.
Right, so the words of the mouth smoother than butter. You understand? And that's why we just feel sometimes we just always feel that that somebody who going to come against you in war, right, go be aggressive. You understand where I'm coming from? Right? But that doesn't happen all the time. You understand? People who become very skilled in war, they just come smooth. You understand? Because they're coming to what? Deceive you. Just like what? The enemy. Just like the white man. You understand? Who learn it? who get the perfect example from Beelzebub himself. You understand? That just come smooth. That just entice you. Alright? Go ahead.
But war was in his heart.
But war was what?
But war was in his heart.
But war in his heart. You understand? He ready to rip apart all the members of the congregation. Alright? Continue.
His words were softer than oil.
Yeah, his words softer than oil. You know, he had all them Christian in our bag. And I say, TDJ can say, he just say, don't believe them. And I say, where I'm coming from, right? Right? He don't want to believe when the prophet tell you on the street, come inside here and listen to me and hear my way the late of smooth. And I say, where I'm coming from for the congregation. Yeah, and they will say softer than oil. But when you have oil, no matter how you throw it, it will make no noise. It's smooth. You understand? You can throw a big gulp. Water and want nothing with oil because water is still here and try. Yeah, you understand? When you throw oil, it's really smooth and nice. You understand? And that's how they're very tricky and enticing, right? Go ahead.
Yet were they drawn swords.
Yet were they drawn swords, which means that they're done ready, they're done set to rip you apart. And understand? So as soon as you relax yourself and they realize you get catching the web, you know, taking your last earnings to buy a $22 million jet because your pastor say you need a jet to go non-stop to some country you never hear about. You understand where I'm coming from? Right? Somewhere he say going in the back of Africa. He living in America and in Trinidad and in Jamaica and in the UK and want to go quite down in the back of Africa where you can see to do God work. You understand where I'm from? That is the deception that has come with. And I understand just like locally down here with the same thing with the pastor with the 29 million. And I understand he had $29 million and has so much money, right? That he stack it up in a room in the church and all the rest home by he. Some inside the wall, the man a receipt. So I'm not receipt. Let's quote again. Check that he even cash in yet. You understand where I'm coming from? Right? That is rest down there, right? And the checks alone, it was 29 million plus the checks, and the checks alone, the value I think was 5 million something in checks alone. Plus, you have 29 million in cash. You understand? In shoebox. He had to bring it in the bank in shoebox. You understand? First is money. You understand? Right? And all that is people hard earned money. And then now, first the pastor had the congregation in a trance. You understand? That them defending the pastor. You understand? He ripped all your 29 million and the people still defending him. You understand? Because why? They don't work that trap in the mind of the people already. You understand? Why? Because why? You know saying? We holy. You understand? You can't talk against we. You understand where I'm from? And that will just happen. They trap all the members in the church. And some of them, they beguile them. Some of them, they get them gift. You understand? So they're afraid to talk and say, well, yeah, he already did. You understand where I'm from? Because some of them, the pastor maybe buy a little house and thing for them on the side. That them go be the main members, the foundation members in the church. You understand where I'm from? So now, nobody want to talk against him. Nobody want to testify in court. You understand? Same thing that has happened with them priests. When them children get molested. Plenty are the cases where children get molested in the Roman Catholic Church. When you have to read the story carefully, when you go down and read the story, in the bottom of the story, mark the case was settled. You know what settlement is? It means that you come to agreement with the person who was accusing you. And that's where I come from. So the pastor come to agreement with the parent, whoever was the parent of the child, that they go pay them X and X of money, so you ain't gonna bring it out in the public. You understand? That is to show you how far these Christian churches does go. You understand? So that is why they say what? The words smoother than butter, but in the heart is war. Them looking to rip apart this humanity. What how long the Christian church, right? And the Roman Catholic Church functioning, and the can't get rid of pedophilia yet. Year after year, it's somebody new, and somebody new, and somebody new, and somebody new. Because why? They do want to adhere to the laws at the Most High. They want to be governed by what? Their own laws. And because they want to be governed by their own laws, they will continue to abuse Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indian people who send the children in these institutions. Because these institutions do not care about brotherhood. They don't care about you. They don't care about your well-being. They're looking to devour you. Understand? And that is what people don't understand about these institutions. Right? From there, I want to jump to give me first John chapter 2 and verse 10, Babakasha.
First John chapter 2 and verse 10. He that loveth his brother and abideth in the light, and there is none occasion of stumbling in him.
That's right. So he that loveth his brother, what? He abide in the light. And the Most High does make things very simple, right? And not complicated. So even I just say the person who do have the highest IQ could understand. It don't be no rocket scientist to figure out the things that the Most High. Once you have a man of the Lord teaching you, he will break it down and he will get to understand properly, right? So he that loveth his brother what? Abideth where?
He that loveth his brother abideth in the light, and there is none occasion of stumbling in him.
Right. So it becomes very hard for him to stumble, because why? He walking in what? Righteousness. He doing what the Most High say he's supposed to do, right? Go ahead.
Verse 11. But he that hateth his brother is in the darkness.
But the man that hate his brother, that man in darkness. And that is the Christian church make the Black, Hispanic, and Indian and Native Indian man fall prey to. You understand? Because why? While we battling among one another, right? For petty and silly things, right? We walking what? In darkness, right? Continue.
And knoweth not whether he goeth, because that darkness had blind his eyes.
And the darkness blind your eyes. When you catch yourself, watch, because you're fighting your brother, you have no time to understand the things of the Most High. And that's how what? Egyptology just take you. Islam go take you. Because why? Every time you go to a man and if they started telling about the Most High, let me see it's a Muslim or Egyptology or whatever, they're always fighting what? The petty things. Things that making no sense. You understand? Well, I know the scriptures say, well, you foot black, but I mean you say body white. You understand? And all kind of nonsense. You understand where I'm coming from? They like to fight what? The petty things. You understand? The scriptures say, well, his eye was like a flame of fire. But I never see a man with fire in the eye. Because why? The mind becomes simple. You understand? And simple things become hard for them to understand. Right? And because why? They're walking in darkness. Because they're going around hating one another. And if the Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian man today could understand that, all them crime that going on in the ghetto will never happen. You understand? Because things that happening with you and your brother, what happen? You go one-on-one with him. And if it gets too bad, you understand that all they can't talk to one another, then what? Just as the scriptures say, you go bring 2 or 3. So now you bring more people, And you're not just bringing anybody, you're bringing what? Men of the Lord, men of understanding, men who could solve the problem or the issue you're facing within the community. You understand? And then if you go beyond that, you still have the whole congregation at the church. So then now you find that all them black crime and violence and drug dealers selling drugs in the community, all that would have never happened. You understand where I'm coming from? All that would have be scarce in the nation of Israel. You understand? But because we turn away from the things of the Most High, we fall victim and prey to this. And that is why today, when you look around, you need to know brotherhood. Everybody just hate one another. You understand where I'm coming from? Nobody has no time for you to explain your problems. You understand? The most I will tell you, go buy a psychologist and pay money. You understand where I'm from? Because nobody had time to deal with one another problem. Nobody respect one another no more. You understand? Everybody just busy. You understand? And thinking about the self and what I could gain. You understand? And all these different things people fight and battle with on a daily basis. You understand? And even a simple thing, which so sometimes two men walking, a simple thing, and a man is massa man shoe, and a simple thing just to say, hey, sorry, the big man, boy. You understand? I already didn't see it. It ended up in what? A murder. You understand where I'm coming from? Right? It's just because a man might mash a next man's shoe. First, it get out of hand. First, society get out of hand. You understand where I'm coming from? A man tell a man something, see, but going from a gun and come. You understand where I'm coming from? Because everybody in the society become effeminate and easily offended. You understand where I'm coming from? Long time a man can tell a man what kind of thing, and he ain't doing nothing. You understand? No other man tell somebody something, as they say, what? Your blood under your skin. You understand? You're then ready to retaliate. You understand where I'm coming from? You don't know how to solve simple problems in society. You understand? And die with the I.S.U.P.K under command GEN.YAHANNA is for. You understand where I'm coming from? Right? To bring blacks, Hispanic, and Native Indians back to that high level that a society that there was. You understand? To bring them back under righteous rulership. You understand? And a lot of laws in the Bible here, you could save people from a lot of violence and a lot of destruction that we will face. You understand? Israel never even used to have it had poor people, but it's like it wasn't poor, because it tell you that no farmer could have leave could have cleaned the corners of the field. So then that man must have something to eat. You understand? And he do have to resort to the garbage bin. You understand? Yes, he might have money, but he do have to go in point or in some city and look into the garbage bin to get food to eat, because why, it would have something left and provided for him. You understand where I'm from? So all them things like that. That is what that make Israel a righteous nation. You understand? But in Babylon the Great, in the white man society, you had to fend for yourself. Dog eat dog. You understand? If you can't work, too bad for you. You understand? Starve and die. You understand? And that is how people living today. It's just craziness.
Like I said.
Yeah, go ahead.
Like you know, say, like when people know, they say when they should be coming together and do something wrong and telling each other, hey, where's the problem and things. It's like they're using now the evil to use it as a pips now to say to go and tell other people what to do, and
that's right.
To say, well, yeah, boy, he talked to me, so I think some stuff and it's like it's a pips thing when them things and there's no pips and there's no pips and all.
And I found the taking glory of advantage in a man.
Yeah.
And sometimes the man really come genuinely to try to solve the problem. And understand? Yeah. But you want to show that you bad, you are authority, and you want to take advantage of people, and the Most High just give you a punishment for that. You understand where I'm coming from?
So like I said,
well,
one more thing. At that time now, I had a girlfriend come from away, right? So going out with she and thing, she get a bad drive, and thing. So I say no, I say like the scripture say no them who live among things. So I get a bad drive and thing. This girl now that's like, yeah, we know that. You know, I think that hard luck and thing, you can't get lashed and thing. Yeah. Go ahead and drive your way and thing. Yeah. So she now decided to wind down the glass now and go and tell the person. I said, can I stupid it? That's like, imagine this now, like, like the man and me make no sense. So like, you see again now, you see this spirit again now. Yeah. She gonna look at the thing now, what happened, you know? Yeah. It's like this now, if anything come happen, you know, I might have to go look to the friend sheet No, I don't fight this man no one. When that thing didn't go because the man is touch the car nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're rightfully right because just like how we're saying, like how she wind down the glass and tell the person whatever. Now that could have bruised something, and now it make everybody become involved. And that's where I'm coming from. And it's a serious thing saying it because and I'm glad that you talk that too, with the sister because sometimes we just be saying like we will say brotherhood, but brotherhood is both brotherhood and sisterhood. And that's it no one without the other. You understand where I'm coming from? So sometimes you will feel like we just talking about the men alone. No, brotherhood is a nation thing. And that's how we live with one another. And understand how we behave amongst one another. And understand as GEN.YAHANNA rightfully said, he say brotherhood is formed by rules and laws. And understand it's not just it's not just only I get this man something or I get a man something or kindness. You understand where I'm coming from? Because you're functioning in proper rules, laws, and order, kindness will spring from that. You understand? You understand where I'm coming from? So goodness will come out of it. And them rules and laws is what is govern we and keep we from trespassing on one another. Go ahead.
So like I said, so when you finish now, it come up again.
Yeah.
So yeah, like bad times now. So this time I do know I put on the window lock. So I know she going to think this she now. You're lucky for now window. She say you're playing pussy for me or something. So I say, hey, Yasim is there. Yeah, just what's going on and thing. If you just do that up there, I don't do that down here.
That's right.
I ain't nothing encouraging that thing.
That's
right. So I say you're going on. If you had to be doing that with me, better go with somebody else.
That's right.
I think because you looking to get people in trouble right through that.
That's right. That's right. And that's not coming from you. You cut that out right there. And it's true because and that's how society turn right now. As society, everybody, hot blooded. Everybody ready to be aggressive. And that's not coming from right. And without even hearing the cause of the matter. And understand just like how the many judicial systems operate today. The final black man, and understand, and when he fit the description, 10 years. You understand where I'm coming from? But they never really get chance to hear the matter. They hear the man background. You understand? Sometimes the man come from a starving family. You understand? Trying to make ends meet for your family and the circumstances leading down this path. You understand? So then now he never get proper judgment based on the reality he facing. You understand where I'm coming from? But they just know that he black and he come from Lavantin or Beatum 10 years. You understand where I'm coming from? And that is what it is. Like I remember time going to look for a job. And where I from the south. And then when you go up north, you will meet all them men from the north and understand all them tongue men. And when we went in the company, everybody get interviewed in the company, right? So they start from in interviewee 1 go straight on to 10, right? Some men from the south, some from central, right? And I think the rest of the guys was from north, right? And all the guys from north, because north was carrying that stigma, that reputation against them. None of them get the job, right? And none of them had any different qualifications to the other guys in the south and in central. You understand where I'm coming from? So it had nothing different about them, nothing weird. There was just like everybody else that had the same qualifications. And the job wanted the full 10. They had space for the full 10 people who interview. You understand? And not even one person from that area that has stigma get the job. You understand? Just because they're living in that area. You understand? So they had no police record because they had to bring police character and all these different things to show that they have no criminal history and these different types of things, right? And they were able to provide all that to show, but just because of living in that area, out the door. And understand where I'm coming from? And that is with the Black, Hispanic, Native Indian man facing today. And understand? So sometimes when we feel what some of the religious leaders and even the political leaders and these leaders in society, you feel the fire. You understand? They laugh in the community. Yes, vote for me. You understand? We will provide jobs and things, but them want in the heart set evil against the people. You understand? Them determined to keep the people in Beatum and Lavantil and John and Picton and all these places. Them want to keep them there. You understand? Because if the government could find 400 million to battle Corona instantly, why they couldn't provide that same help for the Black, Hispanic and Native Indian men in John and Beaton and Lavantil and all these areas? So right through some areas in Trinidad, just poor, just ridiculously poor. And other areas, just living normal. You understand? Go ahead.
So like I said, and that same thing you're talking about from Port of Spain, right?
Yeah.
It have a contractor working for it, and he's a big member in Pastor Coffee Church. And just so you know, saying, when he hiring now this contractor he working for, he gonna be working, we are not paying him. So when he do hire now, same thing happening. He hiring from all south, central, all about this, no hiring no Port of Spain, he no hiring no Port of Spain. But here the reason why he no hiring no Port of Spain men now. Because now, you know, anytime we work now, and the when coming to South men and them, and the central men and them, they go take it easy.
That's right.
And when they're ready to pay them,
they go be too aggressive.
But the Port of Spain men, they're making sure
it's war.
They not at no time, because they know somebody had to go to get them money to pay them.
That's right.
And they're using that the same thing, the same goodness, and they're using all the thing and them to brainwash and thing and going against the man.
That's right. And that's how they work in a society. So sometimes, and that's why in the I.S.U.P.K they say life is about war, because a lot of Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians don't know they're in war. When in the Christian church, you're in a war. And I come from, even in the truth, you're in war. And I understand, because you're battling, you understand, to walk this path, to stay in the truth, to stay upright. You understand? All kind of things coming to deviate you from side to side, you understand, to get you out. And that's where I'm coming from, right? And then now people who hear body truth now and want to be a part of the truth, want to be a part of I.S.U.P.K, them are the own battles to fight now, because now your family fight. Just like how when we come in the truth. When we come in the truth, boy, your family tell you like, all kind of things. You understand? But wait now, you ain't celebrating Christmas again, boy. Where's that one, boy? You understand where I'm coming from? Right? I'm telling you. You understand? And people quarreling. When I in the world, understand, we never used to celebrate Easter, but as soon as I come in truth, I'm gonna say you celebrate Easter again, but we never used to celebrate Easter. You understand where I'm from? Right? So that just show you. So you begin to get attacked on all sides. And understand? Christmas, you say, well, me eating no I ain't no pork again, everybody quarreling. So all of a sudden, everybody, right? That you not eating pork. You understand? And when in the world, if you was in the world and I say, I ain't feeling to eat pork, nobody care. You understand where I'm from? But when in the truth, and I say not eating pork, it's a big thing. You understand where I'm from? Because that's how the spirit is operate. You understand? That is why you know the enemy looking to come against you in all form and fashion. You understand? So every day you have to keep reminding yourself that you're in that battle right through and not get slack or tired. You understand? It's a constant battle, and as the scripture says, those who do what endure to the end. You understand? So we had to fight, just as the two scriptures we've gone before. You had to fight to love your brother just as yourself. You understand? You can't give up on that. You understand? You can't no hatred slip in. You understand where I'm from? That is the only man that you have to fight with, the man in the truth. Everybody else outside of that is just chaos and destruction. You understand where I'm from? Until the Most High could give them some grace to find a place in the truth. You understand where I'm from? Because it's a difficult thing, right? But people don't understand that outside in the world just breaking it down and ripping it apart piece by piece by piece by piece. And if you catch yourself, you're totally in a mess. You understand? A homosexual do just turn a homosexual just so you don't just wake up and turn a homosexual. They show you on TV people saying, well, what? I was born a woman. No, he wasn't born a woman. He was born a man. You understand? But the lifestyle that they go around keep telling you what is a woman, is a woman, is a woman, is a woman until what you eventually believe is a woman. You understand? And cause it to become now a flaming homosexual. Then as and cause it to become soft Christianity, causing it to become soft. Because when you're in Christian church, all of a sudden, before you're in Christian church, you're a big beard. You understand? And a gangster hat and all the gold teeth. As you go in Christian church, you want to pull out all the gold teeth and shave off all the beard and shave your head bald. And all the hair growing on the head, but they want to shave all the hair of your head bald. And understand? You no longer want to be that masculine type of man. And understand? You want to be soft and smooth. Because why that we're seeing why Jesus spoke up. And understand? With the finger so, and the heart and the hand on the chest. And understand? And the face smooth. And understand? And the hair slick back. That we're seeing whole day, whole night, all the men in the Christian church, that's how it is.
Like I said,
well,
they stop on the red clock something too.
That's right. You understand? You throw away your culture because you're literally turning like the white man. Some people in the Caribbean, right? Enter in the Christian church. We never used to wear suit. You understand? All of a sudden, you have them tight fit suit. When you know the one with the button can hardly button. You understand? All of a sudden, and them pencil pants. All of a sudden, you turn smooth, and it was never so before. You understand where I'm coming from? Right? It was never so. All of a sudden, before you was a gangster, as the state. You understand? All the teeth gold. You understand? And your beard big in your face. Now you become smooth. You understand? Because that is where the society teaches you to be. And then now, when you become a flaming homosexual, everybody wants to know, well, how you turn a homosexual, or how you turn soft, or why you can't defend your family. You understand? Basic thing. You understand where I'm coming from? Everything turn upside down. You understand? Any major issue come up in society, you run in. You understand? Because why you become soft. You understand where I'm coming from? Any issue with controversy in it, you're gone. You understand? And we just see that all back in the days when all that strike and different thing, all the Christian people, all the soft people, when you come the bacchanal bus, what does do? Let them run. You don't see them again. You understand? When a helicopter come out and drone come out and thing, when they look through, you didn't see nobody. They're gone because they're soft. You understand? The body big in it, but in the mind soft. You understand where I'm from? And that is what the Christian church does do to men in society. It is break it down. You understand? And that is why the women love the Christian church, because why it have a feminine spirit. So they love to hang around that. You understand where I'm from? And the men who dwell around that, eventually you're going to get soft. You understand? What brothers, what manly brothers you have to break bread with you? And to sit down and have a good line and a good laugh. And drink some expensive liquor. You don't have that. You understand where I'm from? We know all drinking grape juice. You understand where I'm from? Because you can't, you're a Christian, you can't drink alcohol. That would have happened. That would have break it down. You understand? All of a sudden, you're a big man, 45, and you drinking a shandy. Yeah. You understand where I'm from? Because that is how they keep breaking it down, because they're breaking down all them values. Easy. Your daughter turn a lesbian, you just accept it because why the pastor said to accept that. You understand? And your society can break it down. Just so. You understand? That is how crazy it is. You understand? Right? Your wife commit adultery, the pastor say, hey, forgive she and stay with she. And the Bible tell you commit adultery, you're no longer married to that person. You understand where I'm from? That to show you how serious it is. You understand? It's a lot of madness going on in the churches and these different institutions. You understand? The pastor, you understand? People seeing the pastor with the two eyes doing evil and still coming to church in the congregation, still following that leader, and they know he's doing wrong. You understand? Because why? Nobody to correct them, and everybody becomes soft and mushy. Nobody to lead, nobody with a spine in the back to stand up and say, nah, we can't continue going this road. You understand? And that is why the few people who manage to escape that reality, you understand where I'm coming from? Right? I now they have an opportunity to come into the I.S.U.P.K under command and to be better. to be stronger, to become manly, to take back your heritage. And understand the I.S.U.P.K. I.S.U.P.K. does give you all the tools that you need to be an upright person. That is how that is what made the I.S.U.P.K. important. And understand that all the tools you need, and understand, to start to become an upright person is the I.S.U.P.K. under command of GEN.YAHANNA. And understand, because the Christian church that they ain't teaching them nothing. They ain't teaching how to solve the problem. They are supposed to begin here following no laws, so you can't even begin to receive help. You understand? So you just continue going down the path of destruction. So you're born and you live your whole life, and you're going down to old age back to destruction, or if something can take you out before time. You understand? So it's very serious, and that is how important it is to be around righteous brothers and righteous sisters in the truth. You understand? Because you wouldn't allow your brother to keep going down the road. You wouldn't see him smoke weed and just continue to let him smoke weed. You understand? Somebody gonna tell, you can't do that, you can't do that. You understand where I'm coming from? Telling you straight up. You understand? And you go tell it in love. You understand? Because what love is what? Correction. You understand where I'm coming from? So because if he didn't like you at all, he doesn't never tell you nothing. And just let you just go to waste. You understand? But he don't want to see you go to waste. He want to see you become what? Better, stronger. You understand? Upright and righteous person in the sight of the Most High. Right? Because you know, because if I look out for you, I look out for what? Me also. Because where I want for myself, I must also want for my brothers around me. You understand? Right? So that was the end of verse Psalms 51 and that was Psalm 55 and 21, right?
I think it's the last scripture again was
1 John 4 and 19.
4 and 19.
All right. Read back from the top of 19, Babakusha.
1 John chapter 4. First John chapter 4 and verse 19. We love him because he was the first. He first loved us.
Right. That is why we love the Most High, because he loved us first. Right. Go ahead.
If a man say, I love the Most High and hateth his brother, he is a liar. For he that loveth not his brother, whom he had not seen, how can he love the Most High, whom he had not seen?
That's right. You understand? And the Most High make it simple. You understand? I love the people around here. You understand? You're black, Hispanic, Negro, and Native Indian brothers. These people we have to love. You understand? That is why the ISP and our commanding general will be going on all them different food drive and all different things. Because why? The Christian church is not going in these places. They're giving out food, but they're not going in these places. You understand? Because they're afraid they're going to get killed and die. You understand where I'm from? Right? You feel them going down in Ikakas and in the UK in the ghetto. I'm not going there. You understand? They will tell you come. You understand? But they're not going. Them don't want to see that condition down there. You understand where I'm from? And that is different. Right? With the I.S.U.P.K. under command, we come in and meet you wherever you is. You understand? And if you want this help, you go take it. You understand? And if you don't want help, we dust we foot and we move to the next city because somebody else want that help. Right? Give me verse 21 too. The last verse.
Verse 21. And this commandment have we from him, that he whom loveth the Most High love his brother also.
That's right. And that is with Christ. This here is what Christ was telling the Pharisees back then. And he who loveth God and love his brother also. That's why he tell them the first is like unto the second. You can't do one without the other. The two going hand in hand. Right? So from there you go jump and give me 1 John chapter 5 and verse 3, Baba Kusha.
1 John chapter 5 and verse 3. This is the love of the Most High, that we keep his commandments.
That's right. That is how you have the love of the Most High. That's how you love the Most High, by doing what? Keeping the commandments. And keeping the commandments mean what? Doing whatever the Most High tell you to do. Simple. And that is one of the first rules Christian church, Muslim, mosque, and all these religious institutions breaking immediately, because they're telling you what? The law's done away with. So you immediately break the Most High commandment immediately, because what you say now that they don't love God. When they don't do what the Most High say, that means they don't love Him. You don't keep His commandments, right? Continue.
And His commandments are not grievous.
And on top of it, now His commandments are not grievous. And in local parlance, it just means it's not hard. That's what He telling you. I ain't getting nothing that ridiculously hard and you're a slave over. Simple. Yes, some might be a struggle, because in that department that might be your struggle. In our next man department it might be something else. One man department he might struggle with weed, understand? And the department might be hose. You understand where I'm coming from? Right? But that is what the I.S.U.P.K under command in GEN.YAHANNA is for. Because the I.S.U.P.K is what? The tools for the Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian man to do what? Come out of all these conditions that we facing. You understand where I'm from? And then things that will be very easy. You understand where I'm from? Because a man, they tell you right now, one of the commandments say you have to grow a beard. Grow a beard. That is it. You understand? Just don't cut it no more. You understand where I'm from? Right? And don't take no markings like them Egyptian and square up. Right? Like modern day America, because all them things is Egyptian customs, marking up all the side of your beard, and people put the dashes through the eyebrow. All them things is ancient Egyptian custom. That was never be custom. You understand? That was never the custom of as an Israelite. So then now, when you look at all the different features, how we breathe in, we hear, we go in, we beard. You understand? Your garment have fringes and things. It was easy to recognize a man of the Most High, because why? He looking totally different from everybody else. And understand? And he could walk through Africa and he will still know that this man from Israel, because he's not gonna hide. He had markup in all kind of strange design. He ain't gonna have no big this that he push through and stretchy lip. You understand where I'm coming from, right? And first beginning, name it again gonna be Umbutu. You understand where I'm coming from? Right, all these things, you understand? His style of dress, he culture, the way he care about himself, his behavior, that alone go immediately draw attention that this man is not an African. You understand? Because he culture totally different. You understand? And the culture, the Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian man unique to all other cultures. And you just like when you walk around and you see a East Indian wrap up. You understand? Because it has some East Indian who is Muslim, right? And how come he is known? He's a Muslim, and the next one he keeping the East Indian custom, because what the attire, the dress, the culture, the way they care about themselves. You understand? You can easily identify, and that is how the Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian man is. You understand? When we go out in the street, immediately people know that. You understand? You don't know you're not a Christian. When they dress up as an Israelite man in the UPK, they know you is not a Christian. They're not going to come around with no Christian thing. You understand? They immediately know that. You understand? Because they know your style and dress and culture are totally different. Right?
And so like I say, when that's how they simple say and don't mark and things. When you check back somebody or check back and things, say, most I tell that one, that low thing. And when you check back who men do, when they start to mark the hair, when you check back the hairline, and think the hairline start about say about 6 centimeters from their forehead. When they do check back when they do finish and they reach about 45, they get about 15 centimeters from the forehead.
You get ball early. Right? Continue going on, Baba Kasha.
Five. First John chapter 5.
No, verse 4, Baba Kasha. Chapter 5 and verse 4.
Right. First John chapter 5 and verse 4. For this is the love of the Most High, that we keep His commandments, and His commandments are not grievous.
Right, the commandments not hard to keep, unlike the Christian church. The Christian church that tell you what, we can't keep the Most High laws. We all have before short. All of before short at the sin and the glory of God or some kind of thing like that that they just come up with. Right? And the scripture telling you it's not hard. So which meaning what the Christian pastor lying. He's not telling the truth, right? Go ahead.
Verse 5. Who is he that overcometh the world? But he that believeth that Yahushua is the Son of the Most High.
Go back, jump back to verse 4, Babakasha.
Verse 4. For whatsoever is born of the Most High overcometh the world.
That's right. You understand? If you have the spirit of the Most High in you, you will overcome the things of the world. Right? Go ahead.
And this is the victory that overcometh the world, even our faith.
Go ahead.
Verse 5. Who is that? Who is he that overcometh the world? But he that believeth that Yahushua is the Son of the Most High.
Yeah, that Yahushua is the Son of the Most High, right? And that is the man who overcome the world. So the man that believe on what the reputation that Christ set on the earth. And that's where I come from, right? A lot of people, what they like to say, Christ never used to keep the Sabbath. And that's where I come from. How he white. And when you look at the records of the true Jesus Christ, that is where we have to believe. And Hassan was a black man with woolly hair, out of the tribe of Judah. He was an Israelite. You understand where I'm coming from? Right? He was no white man, he was no Greek man. Right? As I like to put it. Right? And all them pictures that I have in all them calendars that I like to give out in the stores for them holiday, all them religious calendars. Right? These are the things, right? That would make God, that man, the true man, overcome the world because they believe the true sayings are Christ and not what the Christian church tell you, right? Right? And they believe that what Christ is what the Son of the Most High. Right? They believe that Christ and God is one. You understand? Because some people believe what Christ is God. Christ is the Most High. All this kind of madness. You understand? And Christ keep telling you. He keep telling you about the Father in heaven. He ain't saying, but I is all powerful. He keep telling you about my Father in heaven. He keep reiterating that over and over and over. And Christians don't like to see that. You understand? They feel that Christ is God. And the Most High, which is the ancient that is, and the Yahushua, which is King and Lord over us, is two different people. Two different entities. You understand where I'm coming from? And the Christian church don't like to believe that. Them just feel everything is one. And talking about Trinity. Understand? God and Christ and Christ. But the reason why God and Christ is one is because they carry the same mind. So the same, all the things that the Most High tell Christ to do, Christ does do it. But it's two different people. You understand? And that is the Christian church don't understand. Right? So from there you go jump up to give me Isaiah chapter 9 and verse 18, Babakasha. Right? So all these strange philosophies and doctrine of the Christian church, right? Push upon the black man in Christianity, cause us to believe all these strange doctrines, right? That come about. You understand? And that is how the black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man still in the bottom of society today. Because we refuse, understand, to do what is right according to the Bible, right? What is things that are actually written in the Bible and not things that your pastor tell you that is in the Bible, right?
Isaiah chapter 9 and verse 18. Isaiah chapter 9 and verse 18. For the wickedness burneth as the fire.
Right, so they say the wickedness burneth as a fire. And understand? So the comparing wickedness to fire. Right, go ahead.
It shall devour the briars and thorns.
Right, so it will devour the briars and thorns. Go ahead.
And shall kindle in the thicket of the forest. And they shall mount up like the lifting of smoke.
Right, and keep in mind, right, that Isaiah did describing wickedness, say, right? But it's showing you the same way how fire that there's rage in a forest. And understand, when you see a big bush fire burning down a place, that is how wickedness does spread. Just the same rate and quickness the fire does spread. That is how wickedness does spread, right? Go ahead.
Verse 19. Through the wrath of the Most High of hosts is the land darkened, and the people shall be as the fuel of.
What will be the fuel of the fire?
The people.
Right? So the people shall be the fuel of the fire. And then, so when you put the two verses together, the two verses together now, wickedness is the fire, right? And the people is the fuel for the fire. So the people is the fuel for wickedness. That is how wickedness is spread in our society. So when they encourage homosexuality and it started spread, it will spread like a fire, and it's spreading through the forest. The forest is the people. So it started go to Indian, Chinese, Negro, until the whole world turn a bunch of homosexuals. And that is how fast it spread. And why fires get out of control. And when a fire become out of control and the firemen can't handle it no more, they just have to stand up and just watch the forest burn. And that is why the Most High does, when it was the Most High just cut stamp out wickedness from the nation, because why? He understand that wickedness will spread like a wildfire. Right? Go ahead.
Yeah,
go ahead.
That comes just like Obuji Banda was saying, guns don't kill people, people kill people.
That's right. And that's where I'm coming from, because once that wickedness grew in the people, everybody go turn against one another. Just like with the scripture going and tell me, right? Continue.
No man shall spare his brother.
Right? And because wickedness spread among the people, no man shall spare his brother. So that is what happened. And no brotherhood again. Nobody care. And that is what going on in society today. You understand? Nobody stopping. You understand? To think about the actions no more, because everybody, as something happen, a man kill this man cousin, he kill our next man cousin, or he kill your aunt or your brother, and they keep going back and forth until what? A whole generation die out. You understand? Because why? Wickedness spread among the people. You understand? One man start to eat pork, what happened? You will say, boy, yeah, this pork tastes good, boy, and it spread. They jump to the next man, he started to eat pork. And then down the line, it's just pork. You understand? And look, the whole society eating pork. And they don't know, they can't remember that the Most High said not to eat pork. Whole society going on in wickedness. You understand where I'm coming from? Right? One man started to celebrate Christmas. Hey, you don't celebrate Christmas, boy. Until the next man, it started spread. And look, the whole society buying Christmas tree and celebrating Christmas. And the whole society going on in wickedness. And that's what is happening. And if you watch all the different kingdoms that keep coming through from all through Nebuchadnezzar, all the Assyrian and all of them, that's how it spread. The wickedness keeps spreading through the nation until they want to take the whole nation, and the Most High do what? Destroy that whole nation, because it's just evil. Egypt, they start off good. Joseph second in command, they find the Israelites becoming too plenty, and the afraid we overtake them. They started to do what? Wickedness to we. And as what become wickedness take the whole nation until the Most High do what? Destroy the whole of Egypt. And understand? Because all the Africans become what? Wicked. And understand? And that is how quick wickedness does spread. And understand? And when wickedness take a place, it has had no brotherhood. So then now, any wicked act that you see within a congregation, that way the Most High used to what? Stamp it up. And understand? And that is with the I.S.U.P.K under command GEN.YAHANNA does do. You understand? Under command GEN.YAHANNA, inside here, we have no wickedness, no advantage. Nobody gonna have no advantage, nobody. You understand? That is why it have a council with the general setup. You understand where I'm coming from? So that everybody could get what? Righteous and just judgment. You understand? And nobody would be treated unfairly and feel that there is not a part of the nation. You understand where I'm coming from? Wickedness can't survive in the congregation of the Most High. The Most High just stamp out that. Right? Continue, Baba Kosha.
Verse 20.
Yeah, verse 20.
And he shall snatch on the right hand and be hungry.
Right? So these way brothers go do. Understand? Because wickedness, and if wickedness spread in the nation, your own people, that's what happened to them, right? They shall snatch on the right hand, go ahead and be hungry, go ahead.
And he shall eat on the left hand.
Right? So he's snatching the right and he eating on the left hand, right? Go ahead.
And they shall not be
and
satisfied.
they wouldn't be satisfied, right? So the more they eat, they gain full. Go ahead.
They shall eat every man the flesh of his own arm.
Right? And when I say they shall eat every man the flesh of his own arm, it don't mean be like the Africans eating one another. Right? It don't mean no cannibalism. What it mean, right, is that you will be devouring your own people. So let me say, use a businessman, you're looking to rip off everybody. You understand? You will change the weight of your scale to rip off people. All kind of scheme. And understand, just like the Christian pastors are perfect example because they're looking to rip off the congregation of the money. You understand? Around, so they go sell your prayer cloth and tell you go work and tell you there's a heal people and all different kind of thing. I remember I think I believe was one of one of them showing me a pastor. Understand? He have a little thing in the ears, right? And he pretending to be a prophet to call out people from the congregation who sick. That time somebody telling him in the ears the information of the people. And he looking like he's a big prophet calling them out in front of the congregation. All these kind of things. And that is how that is what? Eat the flesh of his own arm, because the Christian pastors or them pastors like T.D. Jakes and all of them, they're devouring the flesh of their own people, because it's what? It's we people inside the church. It's blacks, Hispanic, and Native Indian. Their own people. And that's where I come from, and he's taking advantage of them. Politicians is our next example. And I'm taking advantage of the own people coming by you, vote for me. And I'm going do so and so for you, and when they look, they're taking advantage of you. And they're coming and build all kind of chemical industry and how you working, and they know you're going to get cancer. You understand? But they don't care. They want genes to make. You understand? Right? And the way to export to them other countries to make money. You understand? The way to go down in them big plan, them big gas plan, and they know the gas unstable, and they know a lot of people are going to die long before the plan build, but they don't care. They mean they're going to build this plan to make money. You understand? So they're taking advantage of their own people. And understand? So some of them they know that what certain areas in the community, and understand all them best view like all of Lavantil and things. So they instead no crime. You understand? Drugs flowing in the community freely. You understand? Because they know they want to dominate certain areas in the country. You understand? And that's how they just take advantage of their own people. So when I say every man shall eat his own flesh, everybody turn against one another. You understand? You're no longer looking at that man as your brother anymore. You understand? And that is how dangerous wickedness could spread among a nation and cause corruption. You understand? And make the entire society be unbrotherly. You understand? Because you no longer care about your neighbor anymore. Your neighbor become like a stranger in your eyes, right? James chapter 1 and verse 22, Bible share.
James chapter 1 and verse 22.
Go ahead.
But be you doers of the word.
Be what?
Be you doers of the word.
That is what we're supposed to be. Doers of the word. Go ahead.
And not hearers only.
That's right. Right? And that is what does make the difference with the I.S.U.P.K under Command and GEN.YAHANNA. In the I.S.U.P.K under Command and GEN.YAHANNA, they teach you to be what? A doer of the word. Somebody who actually put the law into practice. And that's where I come from, right? So you go out here, bear, they stop eat pork, shrimp, crab, and lobster. The growing up to be what? Upright. And that's where I come from. And that is how through these laws, commandments, and statutes, and embracing your culture and your heritage, that is how you will be able to build back that spirit of brotherhood with one another. You understand? Because without the I.S.U.P.K, nobody in here would want to be with one another. You understand? Nobody would want to be around one another. Understand? The black man would have be continue to hate the black man. The Native Indian man would have be on his own scene. The Hispanic man would have be on his own scene. Understand? But through the I.S.U.P.K under Command and GEN.YAHANNA, because we follow the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Most High under Yahweh our King, we able to coexist with one another, because now we understand this spirit of brotherhood, this spirit of righteousness spread through the congregation. So now we become just like how wickedness spread as a fire, righteousness spreading too. Understand? But it's spreading in a righteous congregation under righteous heads, right? That was the end of James. Continue with the rest, Baba Kusha.
Deceiving your own self.
Right? Deceiving what?
Deceiving your own self.
Look at the James 1:22. Right. So they say be doers of the word and not hearers, because and that's exactly right, because hearers are doer. You're not hearing the word, you deceive your own self, because you hear exactly what to do, but you're not putting it into practice. So you're just deceiving yourself. You understand? It didn't make no sense. It's better you didn't hear it at all. You understand? Because you're not using it for anything, right? Continue down to, you want to say something, Baba Kusha?
Nah.
Continue down to verse 23, Baba Kusha.
Verse 23. For if any be a hearer of the word and not a doer.
Right? So if anybody's a hearer and there is not a doer, they're not putting the word into practice, go ahead.
He is like unto a man beholding his natural face in a glass.
Right? So you say now, if it's a hearer of the word, right, and you're not practicing it, the companion, all right, to a man beholding his face in a glass, right? So as a man, you're watching directly in a glass like a mirror, and you're seeing your face, right? You're seeing a reflection, right? Continue.
Verse 24. For he beholdeth himself and goeth his way.
Right? So he beholdeth, he go in the glass, he watch himself, and understand, he pull the beard, and understand, make sure he face straight, and then he face well cream up and thing, right? And then he go on the way. Right? Go ahead.
For he beholdeth himself and goeth his way.
Right?
And straightway forgotten what manner of man he was.
Right? And as you turn away from the mirror, as you don't grease your face and make sure your beard comb and turn, and turn your face when you're gone, you forget what you look like. And that is why here the word is. And understand, he can't remember. And understand where I'm coming from? But the person who do it and put it in practice, they will always remember, because they're actually doing it. And understand where I'm coming from? You're actually not eating pork. So when a man offer you pork, nah, brother, I don't eat that. You understand where I'm coming from? That is not my custom. You understand where I'm coming from? Rather than a person who just hear it and do put it into practice, you know what happen? I'm not going to pork and you go eat it. You understand? Because you're not a person to put these things into practice. You understand where I'm from? Celebrating Christmas, you understand? If you put it into practice, you will not do it. You understand? Everybody in your family don't know. Now, but when you go by this man, he don't celebrate Christmas, boy. That is it. You understand? You ain't finding nothing by he with Christmas. So it's better we don't even go by it in the first place. You understand where I'm coming from? Rather than a man who just hear it, understand, and he don't put it into practice. So he hear, boy, you shouldn't celebrate Christmas, boy, and he's still going on poppy Christmas tree and pop all the lights and bake the pork ham. You understand? What do you think happen? People will still come by because they know, although you're saying it, you're not actually what? Doing it. You understand? Although you hear it, you're not actually putting it into practice. So everybody go know, they come like he's a hypocrite. You understand? But if you're actually putting it into practice, everybody don't know now. That man, when you see that man down there, who says he's an Israelite, he don't perform the mark. And understand, he different. And understand, everybody know you as that in the community. They know when you see that man with that Sheila David, you can't sell no drugs. You understand where I'm coming from? You can't come on here with no prostitute and hoes. Because they know that man is an upright man. And that is what the men is and the sisters is in the I.S.U.P.K under commanding GEN.YAHANNA. And understand that no, we don't practice these things. And understand what the Bible say we do. That is it. And understand? No question asked, no but if or maybe. You understand? That was the end of the verse, right? Let's see time, boy. All right, so we will do two more and we'll close off, right? Okay, man. Acts chapter 24 and verse 16, Babakosha. Right? And this is what it means to be living under the authority of the Most High. And understand the things at this world. And understand you don't be led away by it. You don't be led away by the lust of the world. And understand living under the authority of the Most High is you doing the things that the Most High say to do. All the things that the Most High say to do and practice and keep and observe, you do all them things. That is living under the authority of the Most High, right? Give me Acts chapter 24 and verse 16, Babakusha.
Acts chapter 24 and verse 16. And herein do I exercise myself.
Right. So this is Paul, and he's saying, herein do I exercise myself. Go ahead.
To have always a conscience.
To have always a conscience. Go ahead.
Void of offense towards the Most High.
Right. So he said he exercised himself. He practiced. Right. To always have a conscience void of offense toward God, which is the Most High. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
And towards men.
And towards men. You understand? So he making sure in his conscience, meaning his mind, he don't hate the Most High or hate the Most High, but by not doing the things the Most High say, by not practicing, by when they don't keep the Most High laws, that's how the Most High know you don't love him, you hate him, right? So he making sure that he don't offend the Most High and he don't offend what? Men. You understand? And how you offending men? By what? Not loving your brother as yourself. You understand where I come from? You don't want nobody rob you, don't rob nobody. You understand? You don't want nobody you don't want nobody sleep with your wife, don't go and sleep with nobody's wife. You understand where I come from? Right? You don't want to nobody talk you don't want to cover the things people have. Nobody, so that nobody will come to cover the things with you. To be in constant war with your brother. You understand where I come from? Right? You don't want to celebrate you don't celebrate Christmas, nobody will come by you. It's simple. You understand? If people know you don't partake in these things, they're not coming. You understand? But if they know that they just partake on the down low, they're going to show up. You understand? So that's why he tell you, he make sure that he don't offend the Most High and he don't offend men, because he do what? Do the things that the Most High say to do. He abide under the authority of the Most High. The Most High's authority governs over his life, right? And you just give me Psalms chapter 119 and verse 98, Babakosha.
Psalms 119 and verse 8. Where with all?
And verse 98. Babakosha.
98?
Yeah.
Psalms 119. Oh. Psalms 119 and verse 98.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thou, through thy commandments, has made me wiser than my enemies.
Hold on. It said, thou has made me what?
Wiser than my enemies.
Than my enemies. And that is with the Christian church. Because when the Christian church tell you that the laws done away with, and they don't keep Most High commandments, he robbing you from being what? Wiser than your enemies. And because a lot of Black, Hispanic, and Native Indians today do not understand that we have enemies. They don't even know. Understand? They don't even know they're in a war. They don't even know they're under oppression. Understand? Because why? The Christian church keeping them from keeping the commandments. And these with David saying, yes. Start back from the top again, Babakosha.
Psalms 119 and verse 98. Though through thy commandments has made me wiser than my enemies.
That's right. So the Most High, through his commandments, has made David what? Wiser than the enemies. Right? Continue.
For they are ever with me.
Right? For they are ever with him, because he continually keeping this. He is our doer of the word. He exercise and practice the things the Most High say to do. Right? And this is what make him wiser than the enemies. So every time the enemies go to confound him or go to trap him, because he understands the things that the Most High, he never fallen victim or prey to these things. Understand? And that is why the keeping the commandments important, because then you will understand how to maneuver in society. You will be able to understand that although I might not understand something, I could go and get what? The scripture tell you to go and get counsel. And you won't go and get counsel from anybody, but you'll go and get counsel from what? Godly and righteous men. And understand, men in the I.S.U.P.K under commanding General Yahanna. So then now you wouldn't make the mistakes, and normal man in the world who think he could do it all by himself, you wouldn't make the mistakes. And that is what will make you what? Wiser than your enemies. When any enemies try to trap you with Christmas, you, because of the commandment, the most I tell you, don't celebrate that, you become more wiser than your enemies. You understand? When the most I tell you, don't eat pork, shrimp, crab, and lobster, you become what? Wiser than your enemies. Because now you won't be affected by all the disease and plagues that these animals bring to you. You understand? Look, recently, they put out a study, right? The one in Bahamas, and people in Bahamas love, it's like just like how they have shark and bake as a delicacy in Trinidad down here. People in Bahamas are the same thing. They love shark. You understand? And when they get to realize now, when they test the shark carrying a very high content of lead in it, and lead poisonous to human, right? Very high. And they say, you know what they say? The shark in perfect health. But when you eat it, the lead content making you become sick. You understand? Because it's very high. And then they get it, and they start to test all the other sharks in different parts in the Caribbean waters, they realize all of them are lead. You understand? Because that way the most I put the shark there for. Them balancing the lead content in the water. You understand? And them in sick. The shark perfect. You understand? But you becoming sick. And that is why we wiser than we enemies. Because all we enemies want, them eating anything they want. You eating pork, shrimp, shark, anything. But the most I set a dietary law for us. And because we follow, once you practice and put these laws into practice, all the different things the most I tell you to do, that is what will make you wiser than enemies. And that is what will make you that is what will make you upright and be what? Guided and live under the law and authority of the Most High. Word of Sasha.
Yes, like I said, when you're talking about that and all too, right? How my father was a fisherman and all too, right? Like when I used to be going out with him and selling fish and all too. Like when he cut in normal, they say the most, like they eat fish with fins and scales, right? So ever so often now, when he cut up them fish with fins and scales and things, you'll see he had to sharpen the knife. As he touch a shark with that scale, the knife get dull. And things cleaning thing in that they don't know already. This today. It's real sharp in these knife and them and things too. And it's not to see things naturally off and all too. When they come to the truth and the I.S.U.P.K, you can not to see a lot of things.
That's right.
Naturally off when coming to these things with the most I say to do and what you say to keep.
That's right. You understand? And that is where it means to live under the authority of the Most High. Under the authority of the Most High, we do all the things that the Most High tell us to do. Right? And we are guided by the men the Most High set up over us. And in the I.S.U.P.K under commanding GEN.YAHANNA. And the reason why we guided by these men of the Lord who are upright, and why the I.S.U.P.K has something the church don't have. And one of the things that the I.S.U.P.K have that the church don't have is that the I.S.U.P.K has the tools for you to become an upright and a righteous person in the sight of the Most High. And with that, we pass the class over to Priest and Officer SHALAM.
Security announcement. We had the I.S.U.P.K out of 123 of New York under commanding GEN.YAHANNA. No rules for brothers and sisters. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are here to be saluted only. They are here to share themselves of the world. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to another brother or sister. There's another 6 months in which the brother or sister will court each other. After the 6-month period, the brother or sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is the commandment. You can find it in Numbers chapter 18, verse 21, Malachi chapter 3, verse 8 to 10. Means 10 in Hebrew, as Paul says, Mishra. 10% of every penny and increase the most I give you the treasury department or teacher priest fund. Fuel offering for priest, non-mandatory, whatever amount you would like to give. Upcoming holy convocation. That will be Purim, the 4th and 15th day of the 12th month. That will be Thursday, 25th February and Friday, the 26th February, 2021. You can find this in the book of Esther, chapter 9, verse 20 to 31. Reminder Akiams and Akwatiams to check on social media such as I.S.U.P.K, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and so on for I.S.U.P.K events and materials. If your brother wants to be a trooper in the school, then he needs to start wearing all black, which includes black boots, light shirt, light pants, light headband or scarf. With that we say, imagine. Sir, we'll find out for them. We're going to say the Lord's Prayer in Hebrew. Abanawa, Shabbat Shemaya, Kwadash, Ayah, Shamka, Yahweh, Taba'ah, Atazaka, Ayah, Aisha, Arataza, Kawa, Ayah, Bashmaya, Natan, Nanawa, Lakam, Kal, Yawam, Basalakno, Basalakino, Ala'ah, Tabianawa, Basiawan, Abal, Oshino, Mayan, Rai, Kaya, Laka, Malakwa, Waha'ala, Watapara, I will love you. Aman. What we said in the English was, Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Yahweh, thy kingdom come, thy will be done, in earth, as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. So be it. You're going to say the Hakka. Yahweh, Basham, Oshai, Babakashai, Hakat, Kalmakala, Kalmadawan, Hakat, Latah, Amatazarium, Hakat, Akwayam, Amatayam, Hakat, Irakawat, Tamala, Agarasham, Basham, Oshai, Wadaman. What we said in English was Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, please give us the power, the power to heal, all manner of sickness, and all manner of disease, the power to cleanse the leper, the power to raise the dead, the power against unclean spirits, to cast them out, in the name of Yahweh Shai. Thank you. So be it.
You're going to say the blessings in Hebrew? Barak, Ata, Yahweh, Wayahoshai, Wamakala, Wa'al-Hayam, Matazabia, Al-Wapiana, Aqua Atazayam, Asaranyam, Aqua Tazayanyam, Hakal Yalyam, Aqua Yalyam, Wa'al-Watiam, Yahweh, Basham, Oshai,
Wada Aman. What we said in English was, bless you Yahweh, and Yahweh Shai, and Michael, and the angel, Commander GEN.YAHANNA, generals, captains, officers, troopers, and the sisters. Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai. Thank you. So be it. We're going to say the curses, the I.S.U.P.K curses.
Blessed are you, Yahweh.
Blessed are Yahweh,
King of heaven and earth.
King of heaven and earth.
And all things living.
And all things living.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
In the name of Yahweh
In the name of Yahweh.
Listen to us now.
Listen to us now.
Right now.
Right now.
Send evils and curses.
Send evils and curses.
And punishment and destruction.
And punishment and destruction.
To the heathen.
To the heathen.
That speak against us.
That speak against us.
Thy prophets.
Thy prophets.
The teacher.
The teachers.
The princes.
The princes.
The priests.
The priests.
The Israelite brothers.
The Israelite brothers.
And the school.
And the school.
Send evils and curses.
Send evils and curses.
And punishment and destruction.
And punishment and destruction.
To the heathen.
To the heathen.
And shake loose.
And shake loose.
The treasure of the rich of Israel.
The treasure of the rich of Israel.
That refuse to give to the school.
That refuse to give to the school.
Force their riches.
Force their riches.
To enter into thy sanctuary.
Enter thy sanctuary.
Send evils and curses.
Send evils and curses.
And punishment.
And punishment and destruction.
To the Edomites.
To the Edomites.
And the nations.
And the nations.
And their drug dealers.
And the drug dealers.
The court system.
The court system.
Prison system.
Prison system.
Planned parenthood.
Planned parenthood.
All the governments of our enemies.
All the governments of our enemies.
Amalek synagogues and armies.
Amalek synagogues and armies.
Roman Catholic Church.
Roman Catholic
The
Church.
Pope.
The Pope.
Islam.
Islam.
Christianity.
Christianity.
Egyptology.
Egyptology.
Militia.
Militia.
Ku Klux Klan.
Ku Klux Klan.
Aryan Nation.
Aryan Nation.
Skinheads.
Skinheads.
Posikomotazi.
Posikomotazi.
Gay
The
movement.
gay movement.
Lesbian movement.
Lesbian movement.
Spies.
Spies.
Workers of witchcraft.
Workers of witchcraft.
NASA space program.
NASA space program.
Army.
Army.
Navy.
Navy.
Air Force.
Air Force.
Marines.
Marines.
Wall Street.
Wall Street.
Open up the internet.
Open up the internet.
And the areas.
And the areas.
The cable access channel.
Cable access channel.
And the radio channels.
And the radio channel.
Convict the spirits
Convict the spirit
of any of thy people
of any of thy
that
people
seek to stop us
that seek to stop us.
and bring swift destruction
And bring destruction
to all the heathen
all the heathen
that stand in the way
will stand in our way.
or try to stop us
Try to stop us
from broadcasting your
from
words
broadcasting your words
throughout the planet
throughout
Earth.
the planet Earth.
Let loose all the plagues,
All the plagues.
cause them to go to and
For
fro
them to go to and fro
through the earth,
through the earth.
cause them and consume
And
them.
consume them.
Let the plague shake
Let the plague shake.
the house of the thief
The house of the thief.
and the murderer.
And the murderer.
Let Jehoshaphat,
Let Yahweh,
Michael,
Michael,
and Gabriel
and Gabriel
come down with the flying saucer
down with the flying sword
and punish all the heathen
and punish all the heathen
that come against
that
us
come up against
as
us.
we speak thy
As
word.
we speak thy word.
Cause it to be known by
Let
all
it be known by all.
that it is the angels that have done it.
As the angels have done it.
Cause it to be spread through the media,
Cause them to spread through all the media.
through the whole world.
Through the whole world.
Cause them to shake at thy
For
coming.
them to shake and
In
I
the name of Yahweh.
In the name of Yahweh.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So be it.
So be it. We're going to say, bless Israel, Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Ba'ashem,
Ba'ashem, Yahweh, Rakanawa,
Shalom,
Shalom,
Wahabaya,
Wahabayat,
Saparium, Barak,
Barak, Rapa,
Magan,
Magan, Commander GEN.YAHANNA,
Commander Gen.YAHANNA,
Generals,
Generals,
Captains,
Captains,
Officers,
Troopers,
Sisters,
Sisters,
Children, all in the strength of
all
Israel,
the strength of Israel,
all who find the come to the truth,
all who find coming the truth,
and all brothers and sisters in the I.S.U.P.K.
and all brothers and sisters in the I.S.U.P.K. Brothers and sisters in the I.S.U.P.K.
Brothers and sisters in the I.S.U.P.K.
Brothers and sisters find coming the truth.
Brothers and sisters find the come to the truth.
Children and babies in the I.S.U.P.K.
Children and babies in the I.S.U.P.K.
Francois family,
Francois family,
Wrong family,
Brown family,
Zion,
Zion,
Wesleyan,
Wesleyan,
Daniela,
Daniela,
Jamelia,
Ashida,
Trisha,
Mayelin,
Chantel,
Nima,
Khadijah,
Ba'ashem,
Yahushai,
Tawada Aman. What we said in the English was, Lord, in the name of
in the name
Yahweh,
of Yahushai,
bless us
bless us
and Israel
and
the school. Bless,
heal,
shield, protect our loved ones.
protect our loved ones.
In the name of
In the
Yahweh.
name of Yahushai.
Thank you.
So
So be it.
be it. So, let's get a teacher one person do. Imagine Shabbat. Imagine. Barak. Yahweh Bashim Yosai Bakatom.
How about some of your Shabbat thought?
Yadimata. Sa. Let's get teachers, the sisters online one person do. Imagine Shabbat. Imagine. Barak.
Yahweh Shema Latam Bashim Yosai.
Yadimata. Class dismissed.